I just got to drive the Ford Lightning this past week. And honestly, I just kind of wanted to see what the deal was there. And I got some thoughts. I figure we could kind of geek out on this a little bit too. So, since you like geeking out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now tell me, was it base model or was that thing fully loaded?
It was the Lariat. It was the Lariat, man. It was nice. It had the cooling seats and everything, which was the first time that I've ever experienced anything like that before.
Cooling seats?
Cooling seats.
I've had heated seats.
You could take them both ways, man. It was an interesting experience. Very interesting experience. And so, yeah, rent the whole thing. I'll start with this. The truck itself is incredible. Like super good. Now I drive a gas powered, I'm a 3.5 liter EcoBoost 2019 F-150 driver.
Fancy.
I like that one a lot.
Fancy guy.
Fancy. It's the XLT. Thank you very much. Oh yeah. Spent some bucks that weren't mine. Anyway, so I'm used to driving an F-150 and, dude, it was just a completely different experience though. I didn't realize that there's no coasting when you're driving an EV. So like when you know how like when you're driving a gas powered vehicle, if you don't like press anything and it's in drive, it'll move you forward, right? It's not that way with an EV. And so you have to keep pressure on the gas pedal to keep it moving. That part just freaked me out a little bit while driving it. So that took a little bit of getting used to. It's like, Dad's RTV.
I was going to say, that sounds like the Kubota.
Yeah, no, same thing. So like if you let off the gas, then it brakes.
Yeah. Like it just does the nosedive.
Yeah, it does the nosedive. So if you let off the gas and then you hit the brakes, you're like going through the windshield.
No. Yeah. Okay. I got it.
So it was a little bit interesting, but I will say this. The thing was freaking fast. Oh my Lord.
You pinned it how many times?
Oh, I pinned it way too many times. But yeah, that joker, it's instant torque, right? We know this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've not experienced anything like that before. I've been in some fast cars.
How many days or miles did you have it? Did you have to try and figure out how to recharge the thing?
Yeah, I had 237 miles, I think, on it. So I did have to figure out how to recharge it. That was a circus. That is the downfall of this whole thing. So I'm in the Menlo Park area, right? And Eddie said it best. It's like EV Mecca out there. Like there are chargers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We had a game called Find the Tesla, and we found like 4 just sitting at a stoplight. It's crazy, right? And so we're thinking, all right, the infrastructure is going to be pretty good. Negative. So we ended up charging in 2 locations because the range on it was 152 at 90%, 152 miles at 90%. So this wasn't the extended range version by any stretch. So that kind of sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to recharge twice. First time we went to go recharge, the charger was broken. So I had to back out and go like around and like repark on the other side and try that charger. And this was the fast charger. Because I didn't want to be there all night, because the base model chargers give you like 6 miles an hour, and the superchargers, the fast chargers, will give you like so much more, right? Like, why would I waste my time with the stage 1 charger? So yeah, the charger was broken, so I had to move it all around and stuff, which is annoying as all get out. You just want to plug it in and walk away, right? You just want to plug it in and walk away. And so both times we went to go charge, that happened. And then there was also one time where the chargers just in general were just completely broken. So we had to go to a different location. But then you also need to try to find a charger that was near something, not a Whole Foods. I don't know what it is about Whole Foods. Whole Foods had all the chargers.
Makes sense to me.
It makes sense. All right. They know their demographics. All right. So they like, we went to go charge at a Whole Foods, and then we're like, all right, let's go eat somewhere. And we end up having to walk 1.5 miles to go find a Five Guys somewhere that was decent because there was nothing else around it. So it's like, you're all over the map trying to do this. It was just a circus. So,
and that was out in the quote Mecca versus what if you had one of those roll around the ATL today?
Right. Like I couldn't make it up to Hartsfield and back with that truck at all without recharging.
You better get your charge while you're up there too, because anything in between is going to be a long bomb.
6 miles an hour for charging. I mean, good grief, man.
Yeah,
that's nothing. So I don't know what it's like to have a Tesla. I don't know. We've heard that it's a little bit better, like for charging experience wise, but man, like,
well, it depends.
Infrastructure.
I've talked to a few users in Atlanta that own the Tesla, and apparently there's a year, right, where you are grandfathered in for free charging. So if you bought in these magical years, you just roll up whenever, wherever. You're like, I'm good to go. If you're not in the club, then you're paying. And that's the pain that I've heard, at least in the North Atlanta area where there are chargers. Well, do I put it at my house because it can take all night and I don't care? Or, you're not going to just plug it in and go grocery shopping and come back out and you're good to go.
Yeah. Okay. So I have on the free thing. So I spent $35 on charging over the span of 3 days
for 200 some miles.
For 200 some miles. That's what the fast charger. All right. So that kind of like disclaimer there, not free charging. So I did that, but then also because it would initialize and then it would cancel on me, it would charge me $5 during the initialization process. And then it would shut off and then it wouldn't refund me. So anytime it was broken, I'd pay $5.
That sounds like a good deal for them.
Yeah, it does sound like a really good deal for them.
It's not a scam. It's a pyramid scheme.
It's seriously, man. So, I mean, I went out there super pumped to try this thing out. And coming back, I've definitely cooled my jets a little bit. But I think it's relevant because a lot of people in the industry, they're talking about fleets of these things. And I would just caution them right now to really see what your charging network looks like. Also, I would say it depends on the role in your company. I really do. Sure. If you're a project manager and you're driving all over creation, man, that doesn't work.
Yeah, no. But what about, an MEP with a service division that you have a facility that you can go ahead and install your own and you plug and go from your shop? Day trips in Atlanta maybe works.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, I think there's some study that you need to do before committing to it. Maybe buy one and see what works for you. Don't go whole hog and buy 20 of them and just, unless you're Skanska or however they say it, right?
Depends on what side of the drink you're on. But Tesla, the Semi. So that's recently come out. That's a thing now.
Yeah.
And they've talked through this, like if you're like maybe within the city, like you're on a loop doing deliveries, so that this works very well. But I mean, these things need a massive amount of electricity to make them go.
Yeah.
Now they're amazing vehicles, but they don't go very far yet.
No, I think that's the two things that need to change is obviously the range and the network to charge it. I think once we start kind of seeing some extensions in range and that network gets better, and it will. Like, I mean, all these mandates to go EV, like it's gonna happen, but we're still really in the infancy of it. It's a unique experience.
Hey, a lot of our electrical partners, there's companies going to make a lot of money putting in those stations somewhere, and either they're partnering like you're talking about with a brick and mortar store that says they need them, or I've heard crazy talk of people just trying to set up their own partnerships. Or if you look at the major petrol distribution currently, would a Love's or a Buc-ee's or Texaco, fill in the blank, do they look and start saying, let's put one in the corner next to that little air pump for the tire and see what happens?
Yeah, right.
Who's going to take it?
People are going to make bank just repairing the dang things. Good grief. Like based off of what I saw out there, somebody's got to go out there and repair them. Also, man, pet peeve. The charging cable needs to be longer.
There's one of those end users, they haven't designed it to think about how close can you really get that thing?
I was like straddling a line to try to plug in because I'm driving a truck, not a Tesla, not a car. So like there's that side of it. It's like, man, had I had like 2-3 extra feet, I'd have been all right. But man, with that, it was brutal. Like there were several times I just had to repark just because I couldn't reach.
It looked like it was on your front left. It was on the driver's side left quarter panel.
Correct. Yeah.
So there's another one. You're used to rolling up probably back right most often for pickup. And now you're saying, whoa, totally different side, front of the car. Like it's totally changing your trajectory of like, how am I refueling this thing?
Yeah. Oh, it took a little bit of getting used to, man. Also the dash panel, like the big iPad in the middle, that threw me off a little bit as well. I'm not gonna lie.
How large?
It's like a jumbotron in your dang car, and it really, I don't know, it threw me off. It was like 14-inch.
You kept looking at the screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I kept looking at the screen. Also, it had a self-driving mode. Talk about making your butthole get smaller. And it really gave me some discomfort.
Now, did you try it for like a full turn or just keep it down the road between the lines?
No, I kept it down the road going through the lines and on a full turn on a bridge. The sun was shining towards us. And so I think it kind of washed out the lines a little bit. So the truck started kind of like veering just a little bit too close to the rail for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
you're gonna need a couple more sensors pointing down, right? Trying to read the paint or looking for bigger, the LiDAR, the radar, looking for those solid objects.
No, I drove a good 6 miles with it on. Like just it did its thing. And, it would tell you, hey, put your hands back on the wheel and just kind of like, jiggle it, that sort of thing. And like, make sure that you're still there and you're still paying attention. I was paying more attention with it self-driving than I was whenever I was driving.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
It's like, I don't know. Do I need to take control of this thing? So it was a little bit creepy. Not going to lie.